Neka's wedding dress weighed more than her hope. She stood at the end of the church aisle, bouquet trembling in her hands, staring at Marcus waiting at the altar. 300 guests turned to watch her. Phone cameras rose like a forest of judgment. She'd lost 15 pounds for this day for Marcus, starved herself until her mother cried, squeezed into shapewear that left red marks on her skin. Marcus was sweating. Badly. Her heart kicked against her ribs. Something was wrong. She could see it in his face, the way his smile didn't reach his eyes, the way he kept glancing toward the left side of the church where his colleagues sat. It's just nerves, she told herself. Everyone gets nervous. She forced herself to move. One step, another. The music swelled. Her mother was already crying in the front row. Mama Kalechi, her grandmother, sat beside her with that knowing look that made Neka's stomach twist. 3 years. She'd given Marcus 3 years. She reached the altar. He wouldn't meet her eyes. "Dearly beloved," the pastor began, "we are gathered here today to join this man and this woman in holy matrimony." The pastor continued. Neka's hands were ice cold despite the Lagos heat. She could feel sweat trickling down her back beneath the heavy dress. "Marcus," the pastor said, "do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" There was silence. The kind of silence that swallows sound, that eats hope. Marcus looked up. Not at her, at the crowd, at his expensive watch, at anything but her face. He cleared his throat. "I can't do this." Gasps rippled through the church. Neka's bouquet slipped from her fingers. "Marcus," her voice came out small, broken. He finally looked at her, and what she saw in his eyes made her want to disappear. Disgust. "Neka, you tried. God knows you tried. You lost weight, even though you're still fat. You did everything I asked, but look at you." His voice rose, carrying to every corner. "My colleagues, my family, they all expected someone different. Someone I could be proud of standing next to. I can't marry you. I'm sorry, but I can't." The church exploded. Her mother's wail cut through the chaos. Guests surged to their feet. Phones came out, not to capture a wedding, but to record a humiliation. Then it got worse. A woman stood up in the third row. Chioma. Tall, thin, polished. Everything Neka wasn't. She wasn't even trying to hide anymore. Marcus looked at her, and Chioma smiled. He walked off the altar, toward her, toward Chioma. They left together, hand in hand, through the side door. Neka stood frozen at the altar in her too tight dress. Camera flashes exploded like lightning. Voices rose, pity, shock, cruel laughter. Her mother was being held up by Mama Kalechi. People were recording, posting. Her humiliation going live to the world. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. "Please let the ground swallow me whole." Everyone. The voice cut through the chaos like a blade, deep, accented, absolutely cold. "Put your phones down, now." The command was quiet, but it silenced 300 people. Neka's vision was blurry with unshed tears, but she saw him. A man in an immaculate black suit walking down the aisle with the kind of presence that made people step back instinctively. Korean. Tall. Dangerous in a way she couldn't name. 6 men in dark suits were suddenly visible throughout the church. They weren't moving, but their message was clear. Phones disappeared. The man walked straight to the altar, stopped directly in front of Neka. His eyes met hers. Dark. Intense. "Marry me." Hey family, welcome back to this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. This is just the beginning. The church erupted again, louder this time. Neka stared at him. At this stranger who'd just proposed to her at her failed wedding. Her humiliation wasn't enough. Now some man thought she needed rescuing? Rage, hot and bright, cut through her paralysis. She slapped him. The crack echoed through the church like a gunshot. His men moved instantly, hands instinctively reaching for their hidden weapons, low, dangerous murmurs in Korean. The closest one said loudly, "Nobody touches the boss." But the man raised one finger. Just one. His men froze. He never looked away from Neka's face, never flinched from the red mark blooming on his cheek. "I am not a charity case." Her voice shook with fury and tears. "I don't need another man swooping in to save pathetic Neka. Get away from me." "I'm not here out of pity," he said quietly. "Then why? I don't even know you. You saved my life 6 months ago." His voice was calm, steady. "Lagos General Hospital. You held my hand while I was dying and told me I was stronger than I thought. You were right. Now let me prove the same to you." Neka's breath caught. "Lagos General. 6 months ago. The ER. The gunshot victim who wouldn't speak, who just stared at her like—" "You," she whispered. "Yes." Her tears were falling now. She couldn't stop them. "By proposing? At my failed wedding? In front of everyone?" "Not today. Not now." He stepped closer, careful. "But someday, when you're ready, when you've healed from this, marry me. Because you deserve someone who sees your worth. I've been trying to work up the courage to speak to you for 6 months. You're extraordinary and I'm not. But I can try to be. For you." The honesty in his voice stopped her rage cold. "Right now," he continued, "let me get you out of here. Away from the cameras, the whispers, the humiliation. Let me take you somewhere safe where you can breathe. No obligations, no expectations. Just sanctuary." Neka looked around, at the guests recording, at her sobbing mother, at the pitying faces, at the empty space where Marcus had stood. She couldn't stay here another second. She looked back at the stranger, at his extended hand. Her chest was tight. Her thoughts were chaos. But through it all, one thing was clear. She needed to leave, now. She took his hand. His grip was warm, steady, safe. His men immediately formed a protective barrier as he guided her toward the side exit. Someone tried to take a photo. One of his men blocked it with his body, face impassive. But she caught the man's expression. He was glaring at her. Clear message. "You're not welcome in our world." They reached his car, a sleek black sedan. He opened the door for her, waited until she was settled, then closed it gently. He walked around, got in the driver's seat. Neka was shaking, still in shock, still processing. He didn't speak, didn't touch her, just drove, giving her space to breathe. After 15 minutes of silence, her voice came out hoarse. "Where are we going?" "My home. You can rest, think, breathe. And whenever you're ready, an hour, a day, a week, I'll take you wherever you want to go." She turned to look at him properly for the first time. Strong profile. Scar on his left hand gripping the steering wheel. Calm in a way that felt unshakable. "I was that ER nurse," she said quietly. "You're the man who wouldn't speak." "Yes, you were shot. Who shot you?" "That's a long story. One I'll tell you, but maybe not today. Today you've been through enough." Neka's throat was tight. "I don't understand any of this." "You don't have to," he said gently. "Not yet." As they drove through Lagos, Neka's mind drifted back despite herself. 6 months ago. The ER had been chaos that night. Multiple gunshot victims from a port shootout. Blood everywhere. Screaming. The acrid smell of fear and antiseptic. She'd been moving between gurneys when they brought him in. Korean man, mid-30s, bleeding heavily from his chest. His people, clearly dangerous men in expensive suits, had tried to take him immediately. Neka had physically blocked them. "You move him now, he dies. Give me 15 minutes." They'd backed off, but their eyes had promised violence if she failed. She'd worked fast. Gunshot wound through and through, missed the heart by centimeters. Her hands had been steady as she'd cleaned, stitched, stabilized. The whole time he'd been watching her face, not with the usual fear or pain she saw in patients, with something else. Wonder, maybe. Like she was performing a miracle instead of just doing her job. "Hey," she'd said, noticing his stare. "Stay with me. Look at my eyes. You're going to be fine. You're stronger than you think." She'd started humming without realizing it. Easy, her grandmother's favorite hymn. She always hummed when she was focused, and because he seemed so afraid, she'd talk to him, told him random things to keep him conscious. "My grandmother makes this soup, Obese, best in Lagos. She says the secret is patience. You can't rush good things. Life's like that, you know? The good things take time, but they're worth the wait." His hand had suddenly gripped hers, tight, desperate. Not threatening, just holding on. She'd looked down. He was staring at her name tag. "Neka," he'd whispered. Then his eyes had found her face again, memorizing every detail. "Thank you for seeing me as human." Before she could respond, his people had rushed in and taken him. She'd watched him go, confused by the intensity in his eyes, then moved to the next patient. She'd never thought about him again. Until today. The car stopped. Neka blinked, pulled from the memory. They were in Victoria Island, parked in front of a sleek high-rise building that screamed wealth. "This is home," he said quietly. He came around, opened her door. She stepped out, still in her wedding dress, still feeling like she was living someone else's nightmare. The lobby was all marble and chrome, cold, expensive. A few residents stared as they passed, woman in a wedding dress, clearly been crying, with a man who looked like he could kill you with a glance. The elevator ride was silent. 23rd floor. The doors opened directly into a penthouse. Neka stepped inside. The space was beautiful and soulless. Minimalist furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lagos, art on the walls that looked expensive but impersonal, like a luxury hotel, not a home. "The master bedroom is through there," he said, gesturing. "It's yours for as long as you need it. Days, weeks, months, I don't care. And you? Guest room down the hall. You have complete privacy." He paused. "I had clothes delivered this morning. They should fit. They're in the closet." Neka turned to stare at him. "You had women's clothes delivered before you even went to the wedding?" For the first time, something like uncertainty crossed his face. Yes, I hoped you might say yes. Presumptuous, I know. That's one word for it." She wrapped her arms around herself. "Where will you sleep?" "Guest room. I leave for work early, usually back by 8. If you need anything, my number is on the fridge." He moved toward the door, then stopped. "I should tell you, I don't usually cook or eat here, but I'll make sure there's food, whatever you want." "Why are you doing this?" The question burst out of her. Really, not the ER story. Why this? The proposal, the rescue, all of it. His dark eyes held hers. "Because 6 months ago you showed me kindness when I was at my lowest. Let me return it. You said marry you someday. You said that in front of 300 people. I meant it." His voice was steady. "But that's someday. Not today, not this month, not until you're ready. If you're ever ready. I'm just asking you to let me help you heal from what he did to you." Neka's throat was tight. "I need to call my mother." He pulled out his phone, handed it to her. "Of course." She took it, their fingers brushing. The contact sent a jolt through her that she didn't want to examine. "I'll be in the kitchen if you need me," he said, and left. Neka stood alone in the massive bedroom, still in her wedding dress, holding a stranger's phone. She dialed her mother's number. "Hello?" Her mother's voice was thick with tears. "Mama, it's me." "Neka, where are you? Who is that man? Come home right now." "I'm safe, Mama. I can't face anyone yet. I can't come home and see the pity and the questions, and that man is a stranger. You don't know him. What if he's dangerous?" "He's not dangerous." Even as she said it, Neka wondered if it was true. Those men in the church, the way everyone had obeyed him instantly. "I'm safe. I promise." "Neka, please. I'll call you tomorrow, Mama. I just need tonight. Please." A long pause. Then Mama Kalechi's voice came on the line. "Let her breathe, daughter. She'll come home when she's ready." "Thank you, Grandma," Neka whispered. "That man," Mama Kalechi said thoughtfully, "he has good eyes, better than that fool who ran." Neka ended the call before she started crying again. She set the phone on the nightstand and finally looked at herself in the full-length mirror. The woman staring back was a stranger. Makeup smudged, eyes red and swollen. Her body and the wedding dress that Marcus had said wasn't enough. That she wasn't enough. She tried to unzip the wedding dress. Her hands were shaking too badly. The zipper stuck halfway down. She yanked harder, heard fabric tear, didn't care. She needed it off, needed this day, off her skin. A knock at the door made her freeze. "Neka?" His voice was gentle. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," she lied. Silence. Then, "If you need help with the dress, I can call someone." "I said I'm fine." She heard him walk away. Neka sank onto the bed, still trapped in the dress, and finally let herself break. Neka woke up still wearing the wedding dress. Sunlight streamed through unfamiliar windows. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then it all crashed back. Marcus, the humiliation, the stranger. She sat up, her body aching from sleeping in the restrictive dress. The fabric was wrinkled beyond recognition, the tear along the back exposing her shoulder. She looked awful. The smell of something burning drifted from somewhere in the penthouse. Neka followed the scent to the kitchen and stopped in the doorway. The stranger, she still didn't know his name, was attempting to cook. Badly. Smoke rose from a pan of what might have once been eggs. Bacon sat raw and pink on a plate beside him. He was frowning at both like they'd personally offended him. Despite everything, Neka felt her lips twitch. "Do you need help?" He turned, startled. His eyes took in her appearance. The wrinkled dress, her disheveled hair, the smudged makeup she hadn't removed. But there was no judgment in his gaze, only concern. "You're awake. I was trying to make breakfast." He gestured helplessly at the disaster. "I don't usually cook." "I can see that." Neka moved into the kitchen, maintaining careful distance. "Do you have more eggs?" "In the fridge." They cooked together in awkward silence. Neka took over the eggs while he attempted, and failed, to properly cook bacon. Their hands brushed as he passed her the salt. Both of them jerked back like they'd been burned. "I don't even know your name," Neka said, cracking eggs into a bowl. "Kang Min-jun. Just Min-jun is fine. Korean. Born in Seoul. Came to Lagos when I was 8. And you've been here ever since?" "Yes." He was watching her cook with an intensity that made her self-conscious. "You're good at this. My grandmother taught me. She says cooking is love in action." Neka paused, spatula in hand. "Min-jun, what you did yesterday was presumptuous and probably insane," he finished. "I know. Why? And don't say because I saved your life 6 months ago. People save lives every day. They don't propose marriage to their ER nurses." He was quiet for a long moment. "You treated me like I was human. Not a monster, not a tool, not something to fear. Just someone worth saving. No one's done that since I was a child." The raw honesty in his voice made Neka's chest tight. She plated the eggs, handed him one. They ate at the kitchen island, the silence less awkward now. "I should let you rest," Min-jun said, finishing his eggs. "I have work, but please make yourself at home. The TV remote is... I need to go back to my place. Get clothes, my things. I'll send someone..." "No." Neka's voice was firm. "I can't hide forever. I need to face this." Min-jun studied her face. "Then let me arrange a driver. My world isn't always safe, and after yesterday, people know you're associated with me. I'd feel better knowing you had protection." "Associated with you." Neka set down her fork. "What does that mean? What exactly do you do, Min-jun?" His expression shuddered. "That's a conversation for when you're ready to hear it." "I'm ready now." You're still processing yesterday. Let yourself breathe first. It wasn't a refusal exactly, but it wasn't an answer either. Neka wanted to push, but exhaustion pulled at her bones. Fine, a driver, but I'm going. Okay. He pulled out his phone, made a call in rapid Korean, then looked at her. He'll be here in 20 minutes. And Neka, what you're wearing? The dress. There are clothes in the master bedroom closet. Help yourself. After he left for work, Neka finally peeled off the wedding dress. She stood in the massive walk-in closet staring at racks of women's clothing in her size. Designer labels, expensive fabrics, all new, tags still attached. He'd planned for this, actually believed she might need this. She chose jeans and a soft cashmere sweater, then took the longest shower of her life, washing away yesterday's makeup and humiliation. The driver, a quiet man who introduced himself only as Park, took her to her apartment. Neka climbed the stairs slowly, dreading what she'd find. Her phone, which she'd finally turned on, had exploded. 200 messages, 50 missed calls. She scrolled through them with mounting horror, screenshots of yesterday, videos, memes. Her humiliation had gone viral. The headlines made her sick. Groom refuses to marry obese bride at altar. Nigerian wedding disaster goes viral. Woman dumped for side chick at her own wedding. Obese. They were calling her obese. Nika's hands shook as she unlocked her apartment door. Someone was inside. Ada was sitting on her couch, surrounded by tissues, her eyes red from crying. Nika! Ada jumped up, pulling her into a fierce hug. Oh my God, where have you been? I've been calling and calling. Are you okay? Who was that man? What happened? The questions came rapid fire. Neka sank onto the couch, suddenly exhausted again. I'm staying with him. The man from the church. Ada's eyes widened. The Korean guy? The one who proposed? Neka, are you insane? You don't know him. I know. Neka covered her face with her hands. But Ada, I couldn't come home. I couldn't face my mother's crying or the neighbors' pity or any of it. He offered me space and I took it. Space? Or something else? Ada's voice was sharp with worry. This man shows up out of nowhere, proposes to you at your failed wedding, and you just go with him? What does he want from you? I don't know yet. Neka looked at her best friend. But he's not treating me like a victim. He's not pitying me. He's just letting me breathe. Ada grabbed Neka's hands. Promise me you'll be careful. Promise me if anything feels wrong, you'll leave immediately. I promise. They spent hours talking. Ada filled her in on the aftermath. Marcus and Kioma had left the reception together, shameless. Her mother had been inconsolable. Mama Kalechi had been the only calm one, insisting Neka would be fine. When Neka finally returned to Minjun's penthouse that evening, carrying a bag of her clothes, she found the dining table set. Takeout containers, proper Nigerian food from her favorite restaurant. Minjun emerged from his office. I didn't know what you liked, so I ordered several things. How did you know this was my favorite restaurant? He had the grace to look embarrassed. I may have asked around. They ate together on the balcony, the Lagos skyline glittering below them. The food was good. The silence was comfortable. Can I ask you something? Neka said, setting down her fork. Anything. Yesterday, you said you'd been trying to work up courage to talk to me for 6 months. What did you mean? Minjun was quiet, his fingers tracing the rim of his glass. I'd see you sometimes. At the market on Saturday mornings, leaving the hospital after your shifts. Just coincidence in a city this size. Never followed you, nothing like that. But every time I'd think, today I'll say something. And every time I couldn't. Why not? He finally met her eyes. Because you're good, Neka, and I'm not. I didn't think I had the right to speak to you. What do you mean you're not good? Neka leaned forward. You saved me yesterday. That seems pretty good to me. Minjun's jaw tightened. That's a long story. I have time. He stood, walked to the balcony railing, his back to her. "Not tonight. Tonight you've been through enough." Neka wanted to push, but something in his posture stopped her. Instead, she asked, "Why were you at my wedding if you'd been too afraid to approach me?" "I learned you were getting married." His voice was low. "I went to, I don't know, see you happy one last time, make peace with letting you go." He turned to face her, "But then he destroyed you, and I couldn't watch that happen." The honesty in his eyes made her chest ache. "So you proposed to me in front of 300 people. I offered you escape, and maybe hope for the future, if you ever wanted it." They stood there, the night air warm between them, something unspoken building in the silence. Neka broke it first. "I should get some sleep. Thank you for dinner." "Neka." His voice stopped her at the door. "What he said about you, every word was a lie. You're exactly right as you are." She fled to the bedroom before he could see her cry. Over the next few days, they fell into a careful rhythm. Min-jun left early for work, whatever that work was. Neka returned to her shifts at Lagos General, grateful for the routine. Her colleagues were sympathetic but curious. She deflected their questions, buried herself in patience. Coming back to the penthouse each evening felt strange. Not quite home, but no longer foreign. Min-jun was always there by 8, usually with food. They'd eat together, talk about small things, avoid the big questions hovering between them. On the third day, Neka came home to fresh flowers in her room. No note, just flowers, yellow roses. On the fourth day, she found him reading a book about Nigerian culture and history, taking notes like he was studying for an exam. "What are you doing?" she asked. He looked up, almost embarrassed. "Trying to understand your world, your heritage." Something warm unfurled in Neka's chest. That night, she woke at 2 a.m. to sounds from down the hall, shouting, Korean words she didn't understand, fear in the voice. She got out of bed, padded down the hallway, stopped outside Min-jun's door. The shouting continued. A nightmare. Neka hesitated, then opened the door. Min-jun was thrashing in his bed, clearly trapped in whatever horror his mind was showing him. Sweat soaked his shirt. His face was contorted in anguish. "Min-jun," she said softly, approaching the bed. "Wake up." He didn't hear her. The Korean words kept coming, desperate, pleading. She touched his shoulder. "Min-jun." He exploded awake with a gasp, his hand shooting out to grab her wrist. His grip was iron tight, his eyes unfocused, dangerous. For one terrifying second, she saw what everyone else saw. The killer. The monster. Then his eyes, focused, on her face, on his hand wrapped around her wrist. Horror flooded his expression. He released her immediately, scrambling back against the headboard. "Neka. God, did I hurt you?" She looked at her wrist. Red marks, would probably bruise. "No, you were having a nightmare." "You shouldn't be in here." His voice was shaking. "I could have really hurt you. I thought you were—" He stopped, ran a hand through his sweat-dampened hair. "Please go." Instead, Neka sat on the edge of his bed. "What were you dreaming about?" "It doesn't matter." "It does, if it makes you scream like that." Long silence. Min-jun's hands were clenched in the sheets, knuckles white. Finally, his voice came out barely above a whisper. "My uncle, the man who raised me after my parents died in Seoul. He brought me to Lagos, taught me everything." He stopped, swallowed hard. "When I was 19, he betrayed the organization, sold us out to rivals. They made me. I had to be the one to—" He couldn't finish, couldn't say the words. But Neka understood. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "You were just a kid." "I was old enough to pull the trigger." His voice was hollow. "In this world, there's no room for mercy. Show weakness and you die. So I did what I had to do, and I've never stopped seeing his face." Neka's heart broke for him. This man, who everyone feared, who commanded obedience with a gesture, was just someone who'd been forced to survive in a world that showed no mercy. She didn't think. She just moved closer and pulled him into her arms. Min-jun resisted for half a second, then collapsed against her. His body shook, but he didn't cry, just held onto her like she was the only solid thing in a tilting world. Neka ran her fingers through his hair, held him, and hummed softly, "Easy." The same hymn she'd hummed that night in the ER. They stayed like that for a long time. When he finally pulled back, his eyes were red but dry. "You should go back to your room," he said quietly. "I'm fine now. I'm not leaving you alone after that." "Neka." "Which side of the bed do you want me on?" He stared at her. "What?" "I'm staying. You don't have to be alone with your nightmares anymore." She lay down on top of the covers, creating a clear boundary but making her point. "Now sleep." Min-jun looked at her for a long moment, something vulnerable and grateful shining in his eyes. Then he lay back down, careful to stay on his side. Neka stayed awake, watching him until his breathing evened out into sleep. Only then did she let herself relax. She woke at dawn to find his arm draped over her waist, over the covers, respecting the boundary even in sleep. She carefully extracted herself and went back to her room before he woke up. But something had shifted between them, something that scared her more than his nightmare had. That morning, they moved around the kitchen with a new awareness. He made coffee. Still terrible. She fixed it without comment. Their hands brushed, passing the milk. Neither pulled away as quickly this time. "Last night," Min-jun said quietly, "thank you for not being afraid of me. I was a little afraid when you grabbed me, but then I saw your face when you realized what you'd done." Neka met his eyes. "That's not a monster, Min-jun. That's just someone who's been hurt." He stepped closer. Just one step, but she felt it in every nerve. "You see me differently than anyone else does. Maybe because I'm actually looking at you, not at what you do or who you work for. Just you." They were standing very close now. His eyes dropped to her lips. Her breath caught. His hand came up slowly, giving her time to move away. When she didn't, he cupped her cheek gently. His thumb stroked her cheekbone. "You're extraordinary." Neka leaned into his touch. "Min-jun." He leaned in slowly, so slowly, giving her every chance to stop this. She didn't want to stop it. Their lips met, soft, tentative, testing, then deeper. Drop a like if you're feeling this love story. His hand slid into her hair. Her hands gripped his shirt, pulling him closer. The kiss was slow and searching, learning each other. When they finally broke apart, both were breathless. "I've wanted to do that," Min-jun said softly. "Since the moment you slapped me." Neka laughed, surprised. "Really? You were fierce, magnificent. I thought this woman is going to destroy me." "I was right. I haven't destroyed anything. You've destroyed every wall I ever built." His voice was rough. "And I don't mind at all." Neka pulled him down for another kiss. This one was longer, more certain. His hands spanned her waist. She pressed closer. It was getting heated when his phone rang. He groaned against her lips. "I have to take this. It's important." She nodded, flushed and dazed. He kissed her forehead before answering, walking to his office. Neka stood in the kitchen, touching her lips, smiling despite everything. 2 weeks ago, she'd been preparing to marry Marcus. Now she was kissing a stranger who made her feel more seen than Marcus ever had. The next few days passed in a blur of stolen moments. Min-jun would come home from work, and they'd gravitate toward each other like magnets. Kisses in the kitchen while cooking, his hand finding hers while they watched TV, the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching. Ada noticed immediately when they met for lunch. "You slept with him," Ada said, eyes wide. "What? No, we kissed. That's all." Girl, you're glowing, and you haven't stopped smiling since you sat down. Ada leaned forward. How's living with Mr. Mysterious? He's not what I expected. Neka stirred her soup. He's gentle, patient. He listens when I talk. Makes me feel like what I say actually matters. That's because Marcus was trash. Ada's voice was fierce. But Neka, be careful. You don't really know this man. What he does, who he is, I know enough. Do you? Because I asked around. Nobody knows much about Kang Min-jun, just that he's connected to some serious people. Dangerous people. A chill ran down Neka's spine, but she pushed it away. I'll be careful, I promise. That night, they were cooking dinner together, him attempting to help, mostly making a mess. He was showing her how to season bulgogi, standing behind her, his hands over hers on the spoon, guiding her movements. His chest was against her back. His breath was warm on her neck. Both of them became suddenly intensely aware of the position. Neka turned her head. Their faces were inches apart. The kitchen felt too small, too hot. She turned fully in his arms, so they were face to face. His hands moved to her hips. Hers slid up his chest. Neka. His voice was rough. If we do this, I need you to be sure, because I don't think I can go back to just... She kissed him, deep and certain, pouring 3 weeks of tension into it. When she pulled back, her voice was steady. I'm sure. He lifted her onto the kitchen, counter, the cooking forgotten, kissed her like she was air and he was drowning. Her legs wrapped around his waist. His hands were everywhere, reverent, desperate. Bedroom, she gasped between kisses. He carried her there, never breaking the kiss, laid her on his bed gently, hovered over her, his dark eyes searching hers. Tell me if you want to stop, any time. I don't want to stop. What followed was slow and intense. He took his time, kissing every inch of her, especially the places Marcus had made her feel ashamed of, whispering in Korean and English how beautiful she was, how perfect, how he dreamed of this. When he finally moved inside her, it felt like coming home. She came apart in his arms, and he followed soon after, her name on his lips like a prayer. After, lying tangled together, sweaty and sated, he traced lazy patterns on her skin. I love you, he said suddenly. I know it's only been 3 weeks, but I love you. Neka's breath caught. I love you too. The words surprised her with their truth. I didn't want to. I tried not to. But I do. He kissed her softly. No taking it back now. She laughed. Wouldn't dream of it. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, finally at peace. The next few days were bliss. They were inseparable. He came home for lunch just to see her. She met him after work. They made love everywhere, the shower, the couch, against the wall when they couldn't make it to the bedroom. But there were tender moments, too. Him reading to her in Korean while she lay in his lap. Her teaching him to make jollof rice properly. He was still terrible, but he tried. Dancing in the kitchen at midnight to no music. 3 weeks into living together, Neka was working the night shift when everything changed. A woman was rushed into the ER, gunshot wound, critical condition. Neka worked frantically, but she could tell it was bad. So much blood. The woman's eyes found hers, desperate. Please, my children, tell them. You'll tell them yourself, Neka said, working faster. Stay with me. But the woman's grip on her hand was weakening. Kang's men. The shootout at the port. My husband. They killed him. The woman died. Neka stood there, covered in blood, staring at the monitor flatline. This woman was a widow. Because of a port shootout. Because of violence in Min-jun's world. She'd just made love to him this morning. Laughed with him over breakfast. Planned dinner together. And tonight, a woman died on her table because of his world. Neka walked mechanically to the supply closet, closed the door, and slid down the wall. She was a nurse, a healer, and she was in love with a man whose world created her patients. Her hands were shaking when she pulled out her phone. Neka? Minjun's voice was warm, happy. Everything okay? I need to talk to you. Her voice sounded hollow, even to herself. Now, come to the hospital. I'll be there in 20 minutes. What's wrong? Just come. She ended the call and sat in the supply closet, replaying the woman's last words. Kang's men, the same hands that touched her so tenderly that made her feel cherished and safe. Those hands had blood on them, maybe not directly, but his world, his choices, his organization. She loved him. God help her, she was in love with him. But tonight, she'd watched his world kill someone, and she didn't know if love was enough to reconcile that. When she finally emerged, Minjun was waiting in the parking lot, 3 a.m. He'd come immediately, his face creased with worry. Neka walked toward him, still in her bloody scrubs. His expression shifted from concern to alarm when he saw the blood. Are you hurt? Neka, are you... It's not my blood. He reached for her. She stepped back. A woman died on my table tonight. Neka... Minjun's hand dropped. She died telling me about the shootout at your port. Neka's voice was steady, but tears tracked through the blood on her face. Her husband was killed 3 days ago by Kang's men. She died speaking your name. Minjun went very still. I'm sorry. Sorry? The word came out sharp. I'm a nurse, Minjun. I save lives. I'm in love with a man whose world takes them. How do I reconcile that? I can't defend what I am. His voice was quiet. Jinwoo, my rival, attacked my warehouse. We defended ourselves, but that doesn't make her less dead or her children less orphaned. Are you trying to change? Neka wrapped her arms around herself. Or is this just who you'll always be? I want out. I've wanted out for years. He took a step toward her, stopped when she flinched. But I don't know how to leave without getting everyone who depends on me killed. Then find a way. Her voice broke. Get lawyers. Talk to federal contacts. Do whatever it takes. Because I love you, Minjun. I'm in love with you. But I can't keep making love to you at night and watching your world's victims die on my table during the day. What do you need from me? Time. Space to think. She was crying openly now. I need to figure out if love is enough, if I'm strong enough for your world. Pain flashed across his face. How much time? 2 weeks. I'll stay with my mother. You work on your exit plan. I'll work on figuring out if I can live with this. Minjun stepped closer, cupped her face gently. His thumbs wiped away her tears. I love you. That won't change whether you're here or at your mother's. Neka leaned into his touch despite everything. I love you too. That's what makes this so hard. He kissed her, desperate, clinging, like they were memorizing each other. When she pulled away, her chest ached. I have to go. I'll be here, he said quietly, whenever you're ready. She got in her car and drove away. In the rearview mirror, she saw him standing alone in the parking lot, looking more devastated than when he'd taken that bullet 6 months ago. The first few days at her mother's house were torture. Neka barely slept. She replayed the woman dying, but she also replayed every moment with Minjun, his touch, his kisses, the way he looked at her like she was precious. Her mother found her crying in her childhood bedroom. You're in love with him. Yes. Neka's voice was small. Desperately. But his world kills people, Mama. How do I love someone whose hands have blood on them? Her mother sat beside her. Are they bloody when they touch you? Neka thought of his gentleness, his reverence. No, they're gentle. Then maybe he's different than his world. Maybe you're the reason he wants out. On the 3rd day, Neka scheduled an appointment with Dr. Ahmadi, a therapist her colleague had recommended. Tell me why you're here, Dr. Ahmadi said, her voice kind. I'm in love with a man who runs a criminal organization. A woman died because of his world, but when I'm with him, I feel seen, cherished, safe. Neka's hands twisted in her lap. Does that make me crazy, morally bankrupt? It makes you human. Tell me about how he treats you." Neka described everything: his patience, his gentleness, how he made her feel beautiful when Marcus made her feel inadequate, how he never pushed, never demanded, only gave. Dr. Amadi listened carefully. The question isn't whether his past is acceptable. It's whether he's actively trying to change his future, and whether you can support that change without losing who you are. Over the next week, Neka went to 3 more therapy sessions. Ada visited constantly, bringing food and company. Her mother gave her space but stayed close. One night, lying in her childhood bed, Neka realized she didn't just miss Min-jun. She ached for him. Her body remembered his touch. She woke reaching for him. She wanted him, not despite who he was, but with full knowledge of who he was and who he was trying to become. Meanwhile, Min-jun was drowning without her. Tae-young found him at 3 a.m, staring at a photo of Neka on his phone. "Boss, you need to sleep." "I need her," Min-jun said, hollowly. "Everything else is just noise." But he wasn't just wallowing. He was working. 3 different criminal defense lawyers. Finally found one honest enough to tell him how difficult this would be. "Getting out of your world isn't simple," the lawyer said. "You'll need immunity deals, federal protection. It could take months just to set up." "Start now," Min-jun ordered. "I don't care what it costs." Most federal prosecutors refused to even meet with him. Too dangerous. Jin-woo was too powerful. But finally, Agent Williams agreed. "I'll give you Jin-woo's entire operation," Min-jun said, sliding a folder across the table. "Everything: routes, contacts, money laundering operations, trafficking networks, in exchange for immunity for me and my men who want to go legitimate." Williams opened the folder, scanned the contents. His eyebrows rose. "This is comprehensive. Why would we trust you?" "Because Jin-woo is worse than I ever was, and because I have evidence you'll never get without me." "Why now? What changed?" Min-jun's jaw tightened. "I fell in love with a woman who makes me want to be better, who makes me want to deserve her. I can't be that man while I'm still in this world. Love makes men do stupid things, or brave things. Help me be brave." Min-jun leaned forward. "This will take weeks to set up. I'll wait. But I need to be able to tell her I'm trying, really trying." William studied him for a long moment. "I'll talk to my superiors, but this is complex. Paperwork, approvals, protection details." "Whatever it takes." While Min-jun negotiated with federal prosecutors, Tae-young confronted him. "The men think you're going soft over a woman." "Tell them I'm going smart," Min-jun said coldly. "We legitimize or we all end up dead or in prison eventually. This is survival, not weakness. Some won't accept it. They like this life. Then they can leave. Anyone who wants out with me gets protection. Anyone who doesn't will answer to the law." Tae-young studied his boss. "She must be extraordinary." "She is," Min-jun said quietly. "She makes me want to be extraordinary too." On the 8th day of separation, Min-jun visited Mama Kalechi. He stood on her doorstep, humble in a way few had ever seen him. "You're the man who took my granddaughter from the church," she said. "Yes, ma'am, and I'm in love with her, but she needs to know I'm serious about changing. Will you teach me to make her favorite soup?" Mama Kalechi's eyes narrowed. "Why should I help you? You're a dangerous man." "I am, but I don't want to be anymore. Not for her. I want to be someone she can be proud of, someone who deserves the way she looks at me." His voice was raw. "I can't change my past, but I'm fighting for a different future. Please, help me show her I'm trying." Mama Kalechi studied him for a long moment. Then she stepped aside. 3 hours. You do exactly as I say." He spent the afternoon learning to make ofe and sala, taking meticulous notes like his life depended on it. Maybe it did. Before he left, Mama Kalechi touched his arm. "She loves you, you know. She wouldn't be this torn if she didn't." "I know," Min-jun said quietly. "I just hope it's enough." On the 14th day, Mama Kalechi visited Neka. That man came to my house last week, spent 3 hours learning your soup, wrote down every step like it was sacred. Child, whatever you think of him, know this. He's fighting for you with everything he has. That evening, Min Jun arrived at her mother's house. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept in 2 weeks. He probably hadn't. He carried a folder and a container of soup. "I made this," he said, his voice rough. "It's probably terrible compared to your grandmother's, but I tried." Neka took the container with shaking hands. She tasted it. It was perfect. Tears filled her eyes. "It's good." He handed her the folder. His hand trembled slightly. "You asked for action, not promises. Here's 2 weeks of action." Neka opened it. Attorney agreements, federal immunity proposal, preliminary approval, deposition scheduled, business restructuring plans with timelines, financial projections for legitimate operations. "It'll take 18 to 24 months to fully transition," Min Jun said. "Some men will resist. I'll lose people over this. I'll face investigations, probably some charges before immunity is finalized. It'll be dangerous. There will be people who want me dead for turning, but I'm doing it." He paused, his dark eyes holding hers. "I'm doing it because I want a life where I'm worthy of you. Not because you demanded it, because you made me want to be better. You made me remember I could be human, not just a weapon. I love you, Neka. With or without you, I'm doing this. But God, I really want it to be with you. I'm lost without you. The penthouse is empty. I can't sleep. I can't breathe properly. I need you." Neka set down the folder, walked to him, cupped his face in her hands. "Why didn't you call? Why didn't you tell me you were doing all this?" "Because you asked for space, and because I needed to prove it, not just promise it. Words are cheap. This," he gestured to the folder, "this is real. This is me burning down my old life to build a new one with you. I love you," she whispered. "I went to therapy for 2 weeks, and every session just made me more sure. I love you. The you that exists right now, flaws and all. I love you enough to help you become who you want to be. You still want me after everything? I don't just want you, I need you. I've been miserable without you." They crashed together. The kiss was desperate, hungry. 2 weeks of longing poured into it. His hands were in her hair, gripping like she might disappear. Her hands clutched his shirt, pulling him closer. They broke apart, gasping. "Come home," Min Jun whispered. "Please come home." "Yes, but as partners, true partners. You don't protect me from the hard parts. We face everything together. Partners, equals, I promise. And I have one condition. I'm opening a clinic for gang violence victims. It'll take months to set up properly, but I want to start planning now. You'll help fund it. Yes, we'll create something good from this world, something that heals instead of hurts." They kissed again, deeper, longer. Her mother cleared her throat from the doorway. "So he's staying for dinner, or are you two gonna keep making out on my porch?" They broke apart, laughing through tears. That night, back at the penthouse, they barely made it through the door before they were tearing at each other's clothes. 2 weeks felt like forever. He lifted her against the wall, right there in the entryway. Fast and desperate at first. Then he carried her to bed and they started again, slower, tender, relearning each other. "I missed you," he whispered against her skin. "Every second, every breath." "I'm here now," she promised. "I'm not leaving again." They made love twice more that night, reconnecting, reassuring, reclaiming each other. After, tangled together and home at last, he said quietly, "Marry me." Neka pulled back to look at him. "What?" "Not now, not today, but someday when I've earned it, when I'm fully out of this world, marry me. For real this time, not an escape, not a rescue. Because I love you and want to spend my life with you." "Yes," she said, tears in her eyes. "When the time is right. Yes." They fell asleep wrapped around each other. At 3 a.m, Minjun's phone rang again. He answered, trying not to wake Neka, but she stirred. His face went cold. "When? How many men?" He listened, jaw clenching. "I'll be there in 20. He hung up, looked at Neka, who was awake now, worried. "Jinwoo knows," he said quietly, "about the federal deal, about you. He just hit 3 of my locations, 5 men down, 2 critical, and he's sending a message. You're next." Neka's blood ran cold. The next morning, Minjun was making calls, coordinating, his entire body tense. Neka wrapped her arms around him from behind. He relaxed slightly. "I should have stayed with you," he said. "You're here now. What's the plan?" He turned in her arms. "I'm putting you under 24/7 protection, full security team, 4 guards minimum. I'm sorry, but I understand. For how long? Until Jinwoo is neutralized. He knows you're my weakness. He'll use you to control me." "I'm not weak." "No." Minjun pulled her close. "You're my strength, which makes you his target. I'm not hiding. I'm meeting architects next week about the clinic plans. That's months away. Which is why I'm starting now. I'll have security, but I'm living my life. I'm not letting him steal what we're building." Minjun saw that stubborn fire in her eyes. "You're impossible. You love me anyway." He kissed her, long and deep, trying to memorize her in case something went wrong. Over the next several days, heavy security followed Neka everywhere. At the hospital, colleagues asked questions. She deflected. Ada confronted her. "You're in actual danger because of him." "I knew the risks when I fell in love," Neka said firmly. "He's worth it, Ada. He's worth everything." Despite the tension, they tried to maintain normalcy, cooking together. Minjun coming up behind her at the counter, wrapping his arms around her waist, kissing her neck. "I'm trying to cook," she said. "I'm trying to remind myself you're real. The Jinwoo hasn't taken you from me." She turned in his arms. "Hey, look at me. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Promise me. I promise." That night in bed, neither could sleep. "Are you scared?" she asked, terrified of losing you, of failing to protect you. "I'm scared too, but I'm also sure about us, about this. We're going to be okay." "How do you know?" "Because we're fighters, and we're fighting together now. That makes us unstoppable." They made love slowly, tenderly, every touch a promise, every kiss a vow, memorizing each other just in case. After, he held her close. "If anything happens to me," she put her hand over his mouth, "nothing will happen. We're both getting through this." He kissed her palm. "I love you. I love you too. Now sleep. We need our strength." The next day, Neka was meeting architects at the future clinic site. 4 security guards were positioned around the perimeter. Everything seemed normal. Then a car pulled up. Marcus got out. Neka's security team immediately tensed. Hands moved toward weapons. Marcus raised his hands, palms out. "I just want to talk," he called out. 5 minutes, please, Neka." Against every instinct, Neka nodded. 5 minutes. Her security stayed close, but gave them space. Marcus looked terrible. He'd lost weight, his expensive suit hung loose, and there was desperation in his eyes. "I made a terrible mistake. Kioma left me for some banker, took half my money in the process. I was an idiot. Can we try again? Leave that criminal before he gets you killed." Neka stared at him, amazed she'd ever loved this man. "No." "Neka, please. What you did to me at that altar, I'll never forgive that. But honestly, thank you." Marcus blinked. "What?" "Thank you for leaving, because it led me to Minjun. Led me to a man who sees me, who values me, who fights every day to be worthy of me. You never did any of that." Marcus's face twisted. That man is a monster. He's killed people. You're sleeping with a murderer. He's trying to change, and he treats me like I'm precious. You treated me like I was an embarrassment. Neka's voice was steady, strong. We're done, permanently. Leave. Marcus grabbed her arm, not violently, just desperate. Please, just listen. Her security reacted instantly. 2 guards rushed over, physically removing Marcus from the property. He was shouting something, but Neka had already turned away. She didn't see the smoke grenades, didn't hear the suppressed gunfire until it was too late. Everything happened in seconds. Professional, brutal, fast. Her 4 guards went down, 3 killed instantly, 1 wounded badly. Neka tried to run, but hands grabbed her from behind. She felt a sharp prick in her neck. Sedative. The world blurred, slowed. Sounds became distant. The last thing she saw was Marcus's face, shocked and horrified. His mouth moving. I didn't know, I swear I didn't know. Then everything went black. When Min Jun received the video, he was in a meeting with his lawyers. Tae Young burst in, face pale. Boss, you need to see this. Now. The video showed Neka in a warehouse, tied to a chair. She was drugged but conscious, struggling weakly against the restraints. Jinwoo's voice came from off-camera, cold and satisfied. Kang, you've been very busy. Federal prosecutors, immunity deals, testifying against me. That ends now. You want your nurse back alive? Give me your entire operation, every route, every contact, every account, every piece of evidence you've gathered. You have 36 hours. And Min Jun, don't try anything heroic. I have 60 armed men here. You come with an army, she dies in the crossfire. You go to the feds, she dies. You try anything at all, she dies. Clock's ticking. The video ended. Min Jun stared at the screen. His hands were shaking. His face had gone completely white. Then his rage surfaced, cold, controlled, absolutely lethal. This was the man who'd built an empire through violence, the man who'd killed to survive. We can't give him everything, Tae Young said. He'll kill us all once he has what he wants. Min Jun's voice was deadly calm. I know. We're not giving him anything. We're getting her back, and then I'm ending him permanently. He called Agent Williams. Jinwoo has Neka. I need your help, right now. We can't just... Listen to me very carefully. Min Jun's voice was dangerous. I'm giving you his exact location. I'll give you everything I've been holding back, every piece of evidence, every witness, everything. But I need federal agents surrounding that warehouse when I go in to get her, because I am going in, with or without you. So you can either help me end Jinwoo legally, or I'll do it my way and burn everything down. Your choice. You have 10 seconds to decide. Pause. Then, send me the location. I'll have a team there in 3 hours. But Min Jun, this is completely off the books. If it goes wrong, we were never involved. I'll take the fall. I don't care. Just help me get her back alive. He turned to Tae Young. Assemble our best team, 5 men. We're going in as soon as the feds are in position. You really love her. More than anything. More than this empire. More than my own life. Min Jun's voice was raw. If I have to die getting her out, I will. Meanwhile, in the warehouse, Neka was fighting the sedative with everything she had. She was a nurse. She knew how drugs worked, what her metabolism could handle. She forced herself to stay more alert than they thought. While appearing dazed, she observed everything. Guard rotations, exits, weapons locations. And there was a young guard, Emeka, maybe 22, who looked deeply uncomfortable with all this. Over hours, Naneka worked on him, slurring her words like she was more drugged than she was. You don't want to be here. I can see it. You're better than this. Jinwoo visited her personally. Tall, cold-eyed, dressed in an expensive suit. Your boyfriend is weak. He'll choose his empire over you. Men always choose power over love. Neka, with certainty even through the drugs, said, "You don't know him. You don't know what we are to each other. He'll choose me. He'll burn down everything to get me back, and then you'll wish you'd never touched me." Jinwoo laughed. "We'll see. I give him 24 hours before he caves." After he left, Neka whispered to Amika, "Please, help me. I'm a nurse. I help people escape violence. I can help you too. Just loosen these restraints. Please." Amika looked torn, glancing around nervously. 36 hours later, at dawn, everything converged. Federal agents quietly surrounded the warehouse in the pre-dawn darkness. Min Jun's team, Tae-young and 4 others, all heavily armed, infiltrated from the south entrance. Inside, Neka executed her plan. She used her medical knowledge to fake a violent seizure, convulsing, choking, foam at her mouth. From toothpaste, she'd convinced Emeka to get her. Guards panicked, thinking she was dying, scrambling to figure out what was wrong. Emeka, terrified she was actually dying, loosened her restraints while others were distracted. Neka freed herself completely, grabbed a metal pipe from nearby debris. Not a gun. She was still a healer at heart, but she'd defend herself. Min Jun's team reached her location. Brief firefight outside. 3 of his men went down wounded. Min Jun burst through the door, gun drawn, ready to kill everyone between them. He found Neka on her feet, pipe in hand, 1 guard unconscious at her feet, facing down 2 more. Their eyes met across the chaos. Despite the danger, Min Jun almost smiled. "I had a whole rescue operation planned." Neka, fierce and beautiful and alive, said, "I started without you, but I could use some help finishing." Min Jun shot the 2 guards, non-lethal shots to the legs. Then he crossed to her, pulled her into his arms. "Are you hurt? Did they—" "I'm okay. We need to move. Now." They fought their way out together. True partnership. She saved him twice, piped to the heads of men about to shoot him from behind. He saved her once, took a bullet meant for her, through his vest, bruised ribs but not critical. Then Jinwoo appeared, blocking their exit. He was using Marcus as a human shield. Marcus was sobbing, pants wet, clearly never meant for this kind of violence. Jinwoo had a gun to Marcus's head. "It ends here, Kang. You've destroyed everything. You can't have both. Your empire or your nurse. Choose right now. Choose." Min Jun's voice was deadly calm. "I already chose. Her. I chose her the moment I saw her at that altar. I've chosen her every day since. I'll choose her every day for the rest of my life. There's no choice to make. You've already lost." Federal agents burst in from multiple entrances. "Federal agents, everyone on the ground, now!" Jinwoo realized, surrounded, outplayed, finished. In his rage, knowing he was done, he shot Marcus in the leg. Marcus screamed. Then Jinwoo swung his gun toward Neka. "If I can't have victory," Min Jun didn't hesitate, threw himself in front of her. The bullet hit his shoulder. Neka screamed his name. Federal agents took down Jinwoo, multiple shots. He dropped. Chaos erupted. Then sudden, deafening quiet. Neka dropped to the ground, cradling Min Jun, her hands pressed desperately to his shoulder wound. "You idiot! You absolute idiot! You could have died!" Min Jun, bleeding but smiling, said, "Worth it. For you. Always worth it. Every time. Don't you dare die on me. Don't you dare." Tears streamed down her face. "I love you. Do you hear me? I love you. I love you too." His voice was weak but steady. "Not dying, promise." EMTs arrived. Neka immediately switched to nurse mode, barking orders even as her hands shook. "Check for exit wound. There, through and through, clean shot. Start IV access, 2 large-bore lines. He's lost maybe 800 milliliters, type O positive. Check vitals every 2 minutes. Move faster." She refused to let go of his hand. In the ambulance, Min Jun gripped her hand weakly. "Marry me." Neka was crying and laughing at the same time. "You're bleeding out. You're in shock. You're not thinking straight." "I'm thinking perfectly straight. I love you. Want to spend my life with you. Marry me. For real this time. Ask me again when you're not bleeding out and I'll say yes. Minjun managed to smile through the pain. I'll ask you every day until you say yes. You're impossible. You love me anyway. I really, really do. Surgery took 3 agonizing hours. Neka paced the waiting room in bloody clothes, unable to sit still. Her mother arrived, Mama Kalechi, and Min Jun's Korean mother, who'd flown in the moment she heard her son was shot. His mother didn't speak much English, but she held Neka's hand tightly. Through a translation app, "He is a good man. You save him. Make him want to be better. Thank you for loving my son." "I love him so much," Neka whispered. "He can't die. He can't." Finally, the doctor emerged. "He's stable. The bullet missed major arteries by millimeters. Very lucky. Full recovery expected, though he'll need physical therapy for the shoulder." Neka nearly collapsed with relief. Over the next week, she barely left his side. When Min Jun was fully alert on the second day, he said immediately, "I meant what I said in the ambulance. Marry me." "You were bleeding out." "I was perfectly lucid. I've never been more sure of anything." He reached for her hand. "Neka, will you marry me? Not someday. Soon. As soon as I'm out of this hospital. I don't want to waste another day not being your husband." Neka was crying happy tears. "Yes, God, yes. You dramatic, impossible man. Yes, I'll marry you." He pulled her down for a kiss, careful of the IV lines. "I don't have a ring," he said. "I'll get you the biggest diamond." "I don't need a diamond. I just need you." Agent Williams visited on the 3rd day. "Jinwoo is dead. He died during the takedown. His organization is dismantled. We arrested 43 people. Your immunity deal is finalized. You'll still testify at some trials, but you're protected. It's over. You're free." Min Jun looked at Neka, squeezed her hand. "Free. Did you hear that? We're free." "We were always free," she said softly, "the moment we chose each other." Tae-young visited on the 5th day. "Most of the men are transitioning to legitimate business. Some left. We let them go with severance. But boss, we're with you. The shipping company is going fully legal. It'll take time, but we're doing it." He looked at Neka. "Thank you. You gave him something to believe in. Made him want to be better. You're good for him. I see that now. I'm sorry I doubted you." "You were protecting him. I understand. Will you let me know about the wedding? I'd like to be there." Min Jun smiled. "You're going to be my best man." 6 months later, on a perfect Lagos evening, they had the wedding they both deserved. The venue overlooked the city, decorated in deep purples and golds. Nigerian and Korean elements blended seamlessly. In the morning, they'd done the Korean payback ceremony, bowing to both families. Now, as the sun began to set, the traditional Nigerian wedding was in full swing. Neka wore a stunning iro and buba that made her feel like a queen. She'd also worn a gorgeous hanbok earlier, honoring both their cultures. Min Jun looked magnificent in both his hanbok and his agbada. Both families celebrated together. Language barriers dissolved by joy and laughter and too much food. Emeka was there, now studying business at university on Min Jun's scholarship. Tae-young stood as best man, tears in his eyes. Ada was maid of honor, sobbing happily. When it was time for their vows, Min Jun took both of Neka's hands, his eyes never leaving hers. "Neka, 6 months ago, I pulled you from the worst moment of your life. Today, you've pulled me into the best moment of mine. You didn't just save my life in that ER, you saved my soul. You taught me that strength isn't about power or control. It's about choosing love even when it's terrifying. I was surviving before you, now I'm living. I love you more than I have words for. You are my home, my heart, my everything." Neka was crying now. "Min Jun, 6 months ago you saved me from humiliation, but really you saved me from a life where I was never enough. You've never once asked me to be different. You've only ever asked me to be fully myself. You taught me that being chosen isn't about being perfect, it's about being completely seen and loved anyway. I see all of you, the scars, the growth, the beauty, and I choose you, today and always and forever. I love you. You are my home, my partner, my everything. The kiss was met with cheers and ululations in multiple languages. The reception was pure joy. K-pop met Afro beats on the dance floor. Kimchi jollof disappeared so fast they had to order more. Both families danced together, teaching each other traditional moves, laughing at the cultural differences. Hours later, they snuck away to the rooftop of their penthouse. The party continued below, but they needed a moment alone. Lagos glittered beneath them. Minjun pulled Neka close, and they swayed to music only they could hear. "How's the clinic?" he asked. "Opened 2 months ago. 70 patients a week now, all free care. We've helped 12 people escape violent situations, found them safe housing. It's everything I hoped for and more. I'm so proud of you. Our clinic, we built it together." He kissed the top of her head. "Do you ever regret how we started?" Nika thought about it. "The humiliation? I could have lived without that, but it brought me to you. Marcus leaving was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it meant I got you instead. I spent 6 months thinking you deserved someone better." Nika cupped his face. "You know what I've learned? Deserving has nothing to do with love. Love is choice. Every morning I wake up next to you and choose you. Every night, every hard moment, every beautiful moment, I choose you. And you choose me. That's what makes us unbreakable. Even when I'm impossible, especially then." They kissed as the sun set, painting the sky in golds and purples. Below them, their wedding rings caught the last light, both engraved on the inside. Hers, "Stronger than you think" in Yoruba. His, "You made me want to live" in Korean. 2 worlds, 2 wounded people, 1 extraordinary love. Neka pulled back, looked into his eyes. "Thank you for choosing me. I choose you right back. Always." "Always," he echoed and kissed her again. They stayed on that rooftop long after the sun disappeared, wrapped in each other's arms, the city glittering below, their future bright and full of promise. 2 people who'd found each other in the worst moment had built something beautiful in all the moments after. Not a rescue, not a fairy tale, just a choice. The best choice either of them had ever made. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more love stories that prove love transcends every boundary. Drop a comment and let us know what you thought. The end.